There was one great description of her in the book that said she was excited, wild, and honest as the day, which I thought was a pretty good description of her. And she sort of has a slightly, I mean, she has a modern view towards life and things that are expected of her. And I think she's ambitious and independent and strong-willed, and she doesn't sort of conform very easily. But at the same time, she's sort of conflicted about how much she will and won't conform in the future. But when you first meet her, she's young and pretty naive and, pretty excited about life and just sort of, I think, one of those people who really just takes every day as it comes. There's something about Gabriel that sort of cuts through everything in Bathsheba, and she sees that he can see her in the cold light of day, and a lot of the time that's wonderful, and a lot of the time that's sort of painful and embarrassing for her, and it's her pride being struck by that a lot, that he can call her out on anything, and he's usually right. And so that's a lot of their struggle through the story. But playing that with Matthias was amazing, because he's just such a brilliant actor, but he had the essence of Oak the moment he came on set. He just had that sturdiness and reliability, and he can look at you and just, he can see straight through everything that you're doing. This is the ambitious side of Bathsheba and the conventional side, the traditional side of her coming out. It's the anti-Troy. It's the feeling that this would be the right thing to do. If she were a sort of in any way normal traditional girl, the obvious thing to do would be to marry the wealthy landowner. And Boldwood represents sort of security and safety and tradition. You can't remove those characters from their landscape, and so much of the story is about that landscape. It's about the lanes and the fields and the way that people meet over hedges and under bridges and walking. And there's so much of that in the film. There's so many, everyone's traveling, and everyone's traveling slowly because we couldn't travel fast, and time sort of seems to slow down a little bit for these sort of accidental meetings. But to film it there was almost distracting because it was so beautiful, and it was hard to get Charlotta, our DP, to stop filming sunsets. It was just every day, there'd be some spectacular sunset that Charlotta would run off screaming into a field with her camera to try and film, and yeah, we all just felt like we were in this sort of perfect portrait landscape of Hardy. He has a very optimistic outlook on things. And he's a romantic. He was touched by things and really embraced the love story, which was really, he sort of loved the idea of making a really epic romance. And I was sort of slightly more resistant to that at the beginning, and I really got swept up in it with him. What the story is so much greater than bonnets and dresses. And what Hardy does so brilliantly is look at a solitary people and look at people's lives from all different parts of life and walks of life, and hold their stories up, and it's kind of tiny, extraordinary people, and I think it's an amazing kind of journey of a girl sort of discovering herself, and the people around her sort of finding their place in the world, um, and yeah, I don't think there's sort of anything small about it. I think there's a grandness to this story that is really attractive. because Troy is that sort of wild card, and because he does have that sort of slightly, yeah, animalistic kind of, slightly off kilter quality. They just took that and ran with it. So all the scenes with Troy were always sort of, and because Tom and I are so close, it was so, we sort of so easily sort of shared mad ideas, and if they were in any way usable, Thomas encouraged us to try them, and so a lot of our scenes just ended up being sort of slightly mad, but so much fun. And so I think Bathsheba, you really kind of, as an audience, I hope, can see what it is about that relationship that's so easy to get caught in a whirlwind with, because it was so exciting and so fun, and all of those scenes were just, they have a sort of pace to them and an energy to them, because these are two people who can function really, really well together for a short period of time before you realise that they can't sustain what they have. It's the epitome of a sort of whirlwind romance.